Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Weekly Comic Book Roundup, and we're gonna get things started. We don't have too big of a haul this week, but still enough for 2 videos. We'll kick things off with Powers of 10, number 6, the finale of House of X, Powers of 10. So where we left off, let's see. We in year one, the last thing we saw, if I remember correctly, was Xavier discussing the backup system portion of Cerebro with Forge. In House of X, where we left off, the Quiet Council of Krakoa was formed for the most part, and the first few laws were made that, namely, that to kill no man, as only mutants can be brought back. Excuse me. The land is sacred, and make more mutants. And so the X-Men, scratch that. The mutants of Krakoa celebrated, as they were recognized as a sovereign nation, and yeah, they got their homeland. And in year 1000, the librarian was beginning to worry about what was to come with being absorbed into the Phalanx. So, like the other 11 issues between the two books, we begin with a quote. "And now we build." This is accredited to Professor X. We start off in year one, back where Powers of 10 number 1 began. Charles walking through the fair. Moira comes to sits next to him, and they begin talking. Tells him, she mentions the fortune teller. And I still find it interesting how the way the 3 cards are drawn, and one having the magician being Rasputin, the tower being the Tower of Nimrod the Lesser, and the devil being Cardinal. We hadn't seen him so long. I did forget his name, sadly. But it's the same as the first issue of Powers of 10. Right up, even going so far as, do we know one another? Oh yes, we go back quite a ways. Who are you? Why don't you read my mind, Charles? Read my mind and see. So, back to year 1000. We're in the Preserve. Now, the Preserve was for certain past life. It was to keep older life forms, alive. And so the librarian is suddenly attacked, but explains that the aggression is pointless. His augmented brain, the augmented brain of the librarian is far more advanced than the attacker. By the time that the attacker's brain finished telling their muscles to move, the librarian had already prepared countermeasures to ensure your failure. And the librarian then tells the group to go and eat their food before approaching another when he means no harm. Turns out, the one the librarian's approaching is Logan. And Logan has been teaching Well, first, the librarian insists that the others don't want to be free. They don't know what free is. But apparently Logan explains that they know what free is. Because he makes a point to fill their heads each day with stories of revolution, of the enslaved rising up to throw down their masters. And says, "You'll see. Give it time." The librarian then explains that there is no more time. But there's still one thing he's waiting on there's still one thing the librarian's waiting on before beginning to explain to Logan why he says there's no time. Moira. And there's this whole thing, observation is one of the primary reasons for controlled habitats, and preservation is of course the excuse they hide behind. After all, they wouldn't want to see the last group of mutants on this planet go extinct. And also, the librarians are watching to see what makes Moira and Logan in particular tick. But the librarian explains about the phalanx, and Moira's shocked. The world is ending tomorrow. The librarian says that everyone will die. The possible exception is the two of them, because the librarian has arranged to send them off planet. The idea being that if Moira were to die before the phalanx makes it to the nearest black hole, then all that he knows will not become part of the Dominion. And then also means that they'll reset the timeline, so she'll know what she knows without them knowing anything. Turns out that year 1000 we've actually been following enhanced humans, not mutants. Going on to have said, mutants are naturally occurring, the next step in human evolution. However, there comes a point when humanity stops being beholden to its environment, when man controls the building blocks of biology and technology. Evolution is no match for genetic engineering. What good was one mutant adapting to its environment when we could make 10 Supermen? He goes on to say, you thought it was the machines that would defeat you, but we just used them to buy time. Sentinels bought them years, Nibrons bought them decades. And so, Logan kills the librarian. And Moira has Logan kill her. And so ends the sixth life of Moira X. I'm just going to say, I friggin' called it. Way back when when it was shown that year 100 was lifetime number 9. I called it. So we get a brief diagram on branching humanity, which explains Homo superior, Homo sapiens, and Homo nosema. Anyways, as we flash back to year 1, while Charles is reading Moira's mind, the sixth lifetime appears in her mind. and she goes on, and so she says, well, so we lose. He says, no, we don't just lose. We always lose. She tells him that he needs to change. Charles Xavier is a good man who believes in the goodness of others. And it breaks Moira's heart to break it. To have to break that part of him. Because that's what has to happen now. She explains that she knows he will fight her. Just like Eric will fight her. And so she says, she tells him he's been dreaming the wrong dream, and it's long past time that he woke up. So we get some entries in Moira's journal. Interesting to note, two of them, entry 12 and entry 35, are redacted. Fast forward to yesterday. Moira's no space in Krakoa. Xavier and Magneto brought her tea. And they talk about the Quiet Council. And it's explained that Emma Frost has yet to name a Red King. The four houses: Autumn with Apocalypse, Charles, and Magneto; Summer with Jean Grey, Storm, and Nightcrawler; Spring, Hellfire, Emma Frost, and Sebastian Shaw, and the unnamed Red King; Winter has Sinister, Exodus, and Mystique. It turns out that Mystique would not agree to join the council without certain guarantees. The guarantee being to bring back Destiny, her lover. Moira is very much against this. There can be no precogs on Krakoa. So they cannot and will not tolerate mutants who can see the future. She said, what were to happen if they bring back Destiny, and she tells everyone what she sees. She tells everyone the truth. And Charles basically says that they'll put off bringing her back as long as they can. Eric says, tomorrow, not today, all the mutant leaders say. But Charles will say, we'll put them off. But one day they deserve to know the truth. And she says, you really want them to know that we always lose? Charles explains, the truth is that until now we've always lost. But this time it's going to be different, for we are different. And they're different because of Moira, who shaped them into what they are now. Perfect tools for an imperfect age. And we expand more on the end of House of X number 6. And Eric asks Charles, is it enough, what they've done? And Charles replies, this is only the start, but we have to hope so. If it's not, then we do more, whatever the cost, whatever it takes. This is all there is. We live and die with this, you and I. Eric says that he will die for it. And if he falls, then Charles will raise him up. And he will then show the world what a real mutant is. Magneto says he's not ashamed of what I am, and Basically, let them try to stop us this time. Charles pretty much agrees. It's like, yes, let them try. We end with a line of Magneto's. I am not ashamed of what I am. And so ends Powers of 10. And the House of X Powers of 10, well, the beginning of the new point for the X-Men. And I gotta say, I'm not surprised to learn that Lifetime 6 turned out to be Year 1000. Anywho, moving on to Web of Black Widow, number 2. Where we left off, Black Widow is basically tracking down some of the people that benefited from her skills and time in the Red Room. And since there's no evidence, well, she kind of has to take care of things herself. So the issue begins with her storming it. They're swimming in the ocean. Seems to come upon a bloody body. The end of the shot says, but it's not, there's a dialogue box thing, but it's not real, though. Turns out that they're on a yacht in an international water for the Collins Financial Bind Bucks launch party. And the discussion of cryptocurrencies come up. Basically kind of explaining that, why they why is it's a good idea to invest in cryptocurrency. There's then a flashback to the Red Room. With the whole explanation from her trainers that money is a kind of power, but it is not true power. There are secrets that money cannot buy and cannot bury. There are people whose love and loyalty are given for free. And if there is a way to pay off death itself, they have yet to find it. So we then cut to an interview being given by the head of the Collins Financial, but then she goes into why Collins Financial is exploring cryptocurrency. As Collins Financial is a multi-generational investment firm. And she explains that long-term success requires taking chances and embracing the new. Meanwhile, in the background, people are being taken down quietly. Black Widow makes her way through. Ends up in the room she presumes the servers are in, but ends up running into an old friend, the Winter Soldier. Apparently, he's there to talk her down. Turns out that the uncle of the CEO of Collins Financial and said uncle's family was killed many years ago by Natasha. They have a brief scuffle. And meanwhile, one of her tech people is killed, seemingly by the Black Widow. However, there's an explosion. And Natasha's not responsible. Winter Soldier believes her, but she doesn't think anyone else really will. Natasha jumps out the porthole she came in through and sees her doppelganger on a speedboat, speeding away. Apparently using some type of cloaking technology. Well, an image inducer, basically. It's the best way to interpret what's going on. So, seemingly, there's another Black Widow out there again. Moving on to Gwenpool Strikes Back, number 3. Okay, so where we left off, Gwen, teaming up with Deadpool, tried to drive something of a wedge into the Fantastic Four. It didn't work, and in fact, it was kind of discovered that, and Gwen kind of told Deadpool that she did kind of, try to out Spider-Man's identity. And, well, it seemed like, and Deadpool took that pretty personally, and seemed ready to kill her. So, we open with, Deadpool and Gwenpool busting out of 4 Yancey Street with Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman chasing them. And having a bit of an argument about what happened with Gwenpool. And so, to make things harder on their pursuit, Gwen kicks the coffee cup of the artist out of his hand and onto the page. Basically says, "I'm not paid enough for this stuff." And so Deadpool makes Gwenpool a guide for us readers. Should you read Gwenpool? First we got, do you like comics? And of course, no or yes. Yes, go see, do you like them weird? Again, yeah, no. For yeah, do you like meta stuff? Characters break the fourth wall, that kind of thing? There's a no and then a yes. With yes, it's, do you like them earnest? No is Deadpool, yes is Gwenpool. And as Deadpool's leaving, he explains that, everything's all about the numbers. So she looks at the sales data. Apparently, people like Gwenpool more when she's being bad. And so, you got Gwenpool's Island. 3 days later. And she has invited... Basically, they're currently on a remote island, a place created just to host this Grant a Wish charity event for a sick kid's dying wish. Marvel Superhero Beach Volleyball. Gwenpool sees Steve and Winter Soldier together and says, you guys look good together. You should wrestle. Miss Marvel drags her away and says, "Hey, advice? Fan fiction. Whatever you want, there's a fic for that." And so we've got three groups of superheroes. We've got the varsity lineup: Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Thor, and Black Panther. The invented to be eye candy but given better character development later crew: She-Hulk, Tigress, Spider-Woman, Black Widow, Jessica Jones, Atlas, and Black Cat. Atlas. And finally, the popular younger readers, bewildering to older readers gang, or squad. Miss Marvel, Nadia Pym, Miles Morales, Moon Girl and Double Dinosaur, and Squirrel Girl. And so it's explained that basically, well, this is all her plan, and she's a dying kid, and yeah. We get a little tag yourself meme. Tony being called Mr. Roboho. Black Widow being Becky with the good hair. Black Panther being King Kitty. Miss Marvel being Best Girl. Thor being Bork. And Gwenpool herself being Big Yikes. And so she explains how the whole thing works. You can choose not to fight if you like, but she doesn't recommend it because she built the place from the ground up to facilitate a good old fashioned 1v1 rumble. And so she had to, try really hard to not say arcade style so that, everyone didn't think, oh great, arcade. And then arcade the dude. So, and she goes on to explain the color indicator will randomly match you with an opponent, and you'll have 1 minute to find them on the island and start fighting. Contingencies are in place to discourage pacifism. And what are those contingencies? An irresponsible amount of lasers. And so, Tony Stark asks a question. What happens when someone loses a match? And she says anyone who forfeits, loses, or gets hurt is immediately removed from the battle arena to be checked out by EMTs on standby. There's also a VIP booth stocked with snacks for anyone who wants to hang out and watch the rest of the fight. And so, as a way of proving, obviously this is bull. Tony picks a fight with Cap, punches him, and as Cap is punching back, he's teleported to the VIP suite where Doctor Strange is waiting, as is America Chavez, Quentin Quire, and Kate Bishop. Also a couple others who I don't immediately recognize. And there are snacks too. So then Squirrel Girl asked a few questions. The first one being is there a prize? Like, I know you said you're going to win, but I think it's a good idea to have to provide further incentive. Apparently, there was a massive cash prize donation from Tony Stark. That happened just before he went comatose in Civil War II. Second question, and the whole thing is to help Gwenpool. And so Squirrel Girl says, okay, well, I forfeit because you wouldn't want to face off against me. I'd win. Which the book says she's right. So, and apparently she also takes, let's see, at least Moon Girl, Double Dinosaur, and Nadia Pym with her. Not sure. It looks like Miles and Miss Marvel are still there. Cap kind of gets up in her face. You've trapped everyone in a scenario with overall ethical violations. And so, to start things off, she brings good old Bruce Banner. She has good old Bruce Banner chained up, explaining that he's been on the run for 24 issues now in Immortal Hulk, and the Avengers still can't find him. Well, it took her about 15 seconds to find him and subdue him by herself. And then she pulls a gun, explaining that said gun is, well, the starting pistol of the contest, and shoots Bruce Banner in the face. Once that happens, little indicators pop up over everyone's head. And yes, Miles and Kamala are still on the island. As that's happening, well, what happens when you shoot Bruce Banner in the face? Yeah, that's right. He turns into the Hulk. And so while everyone begins to fight, she poses for the cover, and Hulk's coming at her while Miles and Kamala say, you're in danger. Then she realizes she has one of the indicators over her head, just as Hulk's showing up with the same color indicator. Moving on to Contagion number 2. So, where we left off at the end of number 1. Basically a living biological weapon was accidentally freed from Kunlun, made its way to New York, and infected the people, some members of the Yancey Street gang. And after one of them went to get help from the Thing, also infected three of the Fantastic Four. And so one of the other warrior monks of Kunlun went for help as well, from the only source you could think of in the area, Iron Fist. So Iron Fist and Sparrow arrive. Sparrow being the warrior monk from Kunlun. They arrive on Yancey Street, and the living weapon is named the Urchin. And he's infecting everyone with a strange with a strange bacteria, a fungus. So the Thing comes out of the subway carrying Mr. Fantastic, Human Torch, and Invisible Woman. Recaps everyone on what happened. Recaps Iron Fist and Sparrow. So he says that he's going to get the four to Mr. Fantastic, or to Doctor Strange, just as paramedics arrive. They explain, hey, you guys are going to need hazmat suits. Meanwhile, at McCarthy Medical Institute, two members of the Yancey Street gang show up. One who has been infected with the fungus, another one who's going to be carrying her, but also has been exposed to the fungus too. So, oops. And so Danny calls Luke Cage, explains what's going on, says, hey, there's some sort of creature running around Manhattan spreading an infection or disease that's already taken out the better-looking three members of the Fantastic Four. And he needs backup. So, Cage gets dressed. Jessica Jones, his loving wife, volunteers to come along. And he says, hey, no. Stay here with Danny. And if it looks dangerous, I'll call the Avengers myself. At Sanctum Sanctorum, Doctor Strange looks over Human Torch, Invisible Woman, and Mr. Fantastic. Getting an idea of just what's happening to them. And so they have to go to where everything started from. Back on Yancey Street, the Urchin shows up and begins infecting the hazmat crew. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Sparrow follow the noise, and well, everything's gone to pot. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange, letting the Avengers know what's going on, basically have a "don't come here," but anything you can do to help, however, without coming here, do it. Iron Man's going to repurpose some satellites to focus on the area. Black Panther's going to have Wakandan scientists assigned to study it. And it's presumed that the only reason that it hasn't infected that the virus hasn't infected the Thing is it couldn't get through his rocky exterior. So Doctor Strange and Thing meet up with Iron Fist, Cage, and Sparrow, and yeah, it's not going that great. Cloak and Dagger show up with an assist. Cloak envelops the Urchin, but the Urchin overpowers him and infects Cloak and Dagger and Dagger and Cage and Doctor Strange, and gets bigger, and that's where the issue comes to an end. That's it for this portion of the weekly comic book roundup. We still got a few more books to go, however, so we're not done just yet. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I put up new content. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal will be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.